Used to be a sign out there right outside of town, right after you got off Highway 13, used to say, "Don't let the sun go down on your Yankee ass Mosswood." Now, I don't know if you noticed, but it is powerful dark outside. You want to know about Paranormalice?
That's why I'm here.
It is the reason for every goosebump that has ever been had in this town. It is the reason the second you crossed into the town, you felt that chill go up your spine.
Oh, son man, where you gonna run to? Oh, son man, where you gonna run to? Oh, son man, where you gonna run to? Oh, on that day. Run to the rock was a melting. Run to the sea was a boiling. Run to the moon was a bleeding hole on that day. Oh, Cinnamon, where you gonna run to? Oh, Cinnamon, where you gonna run to? Oh, Cinnamon, where you gonna run to? Oh, on that day.
All of your hosts will be cursed. Cursed! Ye are of your father the devil, and the lusts of your father ye shall do.
Run to the devil was a waiting. Run to the devil was a waiting. Run to the devil, betcha he was waiting all on that day.
Hello everyone, this is Scott Geiter, aka Gruesome Herzog, and the character of Cephas from the hit franchise series The Hillbilly Horror Show. Hello everyone, this is Gruesome. Oh yes, Gruesome. My very special guest is directors, producers of a phenomenal film that will make its way down the old river, highway, mail, however. It's Paranormalice 2016. I want to give you guys a big thanks for sending me a link to review for my podcast. How are you gentlemen doing?
Doing great. Fantastic.
Great. That was like a dry ass. Whatever. I just want to say...
quite often, by the way. So it's not generic, but it has become generic out of my vocabulary.
Fantastic.
Yeehaw. I want to, again, thanks for contacting me. I mean, there's quite a few actors that's in the film that I've done interviews with way in the past. Nicole Cruz, I've done a long time ago. We're actually going to do an updated interview. And Paula, I did an interview with her for a film a couple years ago in Texas. Jim O'Rear, I forgot to mention him, Mr. Rob Schneider of the horror industry, and we had a rearism with the Skype earlier, but we got that fixed. But the cast that you got for this film, how did you and anyone who's going to answer this, how did you guys get the cast involved, or how did you pick and choose? Jim O'Rear, I have a good idea because of Hospital 2, but go ahead and give me the listeners an idea how the cast came about.
I'll start with this. I'm gonna pass part of it off to Jeremy though, because there's actually one major thing Jeremy. Jeremy and I were both cast the film, but there's one thing that Jeremy is better at telling the story about. But we basically the initial plan of this was to do this on a local level, which we did, but we're going to cast all local actors, and somehow we got on a national casting database, and national actors started contacting us. So we decided to kind of extend it, and that extended the pocketbook, and that caused some issues. But
ain't no shit.
But I knew Jim, Daniel Taylor and I are friends. We've known each other for years. Daniel actually gave me my first official professional job in film as a location scout for his film Camp Massacre. And there I met Jim, worked with Jim a little bit, and Jim wanted to be on board. Daniel wanted to be on board, and Scott wanted to be on board. And so we had them right away. Scott Tepperman, by the way, that mentioned his full name. And after that, it was just a casting process. But one thing I will mention, like I said, that I think Jeremy should talk about is the casting of Paula, because it was sort of the moment when I think we first realized it was very early on in the casting process, and we really realized we had the potential to get some real good talent, some people that had some serious chops. But I'll let him kind of explain that process.
Oh yeah. I mean, she was our first step out of the box in changing the character from what it was written to. We actually modified the script a little bit to make it fit. I don't know. It wasn't a big change, but I mean, just to sort of hit on the fact that she's from Argentina and so forth. So we made the character a little bit more in that line, but. When she submitted an application to the casting process, and I thought she looked good, and took a video audition, and basically called Daniel up and said, "Holy shit, watch this chick!" And she was amazing, and totally blew us away, and had her do some follow up additional audition, also video, and she just killed it. So hard.
Well, I mean that's basically what happened. Is she raised the bar. Once we both were blown away by her performance, or her audition, she raised the bar. It was from that point on. It was like we've got to make sure we have serious talent in the lead roles, because we don't want it to look uneven. Last thing we wanted was internet troll critics to say, well, there's this guy sucks, but this girl is good. We wanted a more even mix, and so she basically raised the bar of our expectations.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And that helped the casting process go forward.
I can tell you one thing: you couldn't have picked a better person to play Austin for that scene with Paula, because he is the biggest a-hole. He can pull off a lot of these shady, shitty dirtball roles that he's so good at, and watching those two was very convincing. The performances are very convincing. Oh, yeah. The second one, the parent.
Yeah, about the neighbor. Well,
yes.
Yeah.
Right. Now that one there, I thought, you heard my review, Jack Teague played the father, right, and the mother was
Shelley Wehunt.
Yes, and then the son was Colt, David Bunzi.
Yes.
Now, that one there, when I watched it, I was thinking, this can go two ways. I didn't quite catch it until the one scene where he wanted to show him a video. So now I'm thinking, got it. And then when it came, the chemistry between Richard Donner, his part in that film was so creepy. And then with the boy sitting there, and he's watching this video, and I'm not going to say too much detail. I don't want to ruin that part of the film, but the chemistry and the facial expressions that he did, that Colt did, it was so believable and real. I mean, knowing what you're going to, as an actor, knowing what you're going to see and how you're going to try and throw that to what you see to make it believable was an amazing performance between those two. And, of course, the mother, I'm sure she's about my age, beautiful woman. And it was pulled off pretty nice, because she's saying one thing and he's thinking that she says something else. It's just well shot. All of them are well shot. The chemistry, I think, and all the acting in this film was phenomenal. And there's one thing that you pointed out that we'll get into later on. But the first two films, that when you're watching it, now I'm pretty much satisfied so far of what I've seen, and I'm thinking, now I wonder if the third one can top it. You know what I mean? Or the fourth one can even go better. And I mentioned in my review that my favorite one, and it's no offense towards anybody, but the third one, I thought, only because of the chemistry between Reggie and Rat-a-tat.
Yeah.
That whole setup right there, and then the twist at the end was phenomenal. But I loved Rat-a-tat's character and Reggie, because Reggie, you didn't know exactly what you're getting. You made it country bumpkin, two kids, or not, I shouldn't say kids, that are these backwooded, hillbilly, however, having this black man, Reggie, in the woods, teach him how to be a man. It's just well put out, well shot. I love Reggie's character because, like I said, he didn't know what was coming next. It was very clever. And then when Rat-a-tat came in there and what he was wearing and what he was doing, it fucking sealed me. That point, I said, we have something here as a whole that I really dug. And then the last one that came up was about Alice with Alice Parsons and Nicole Cruz, and then you had the goofy mayor. Now that is obviously the main purpose of title of the film, so you saved the big one for last. Now what I found incredible about that one is how you made it to be back in a certain time era, that the cast again was pulled off very, very nicely. And well, like I said, I gave it what I gave it as a whole body. I don't review movies individual. It just, it's a whole body of work, And like I said in my review, it's a well put together film. And any fucking moron, fake ass film festival that's going to reject this film, they're a bunch of fucking buffoon idiots. Because I've seen garbage go into these film festivals that shouldn't even be in the damn film festival, and the good ones usually get slid out. Because you don't be spending all this damn money, and all they're going to do is send you a rejection letter, send it back to you and say, sorry, we didn't accept it, but they want to take your damn money. It's how it works. So, Fantastic Horror Film Festival in San Diego, California. I'm a producer for that film festival. This is his third year coming up. I sent the information to Daniel of contacting her. I lost my phone, and I finally got a new one. I'll be calling her sometime. But contact them, submit the film, and then we'll go from there. Because it's fantastic. It's for the fans. It's not for their pockets. It's for the fans. So I'll let you talk about the two episodes I talked to you about. With the parents and the son and the next door neighbors. What was that like shooting that one? I mean, knowing what the end result's going to be, how did you prepare? Or, the backstories, if you got any for that one.
Chuck Hartzell directed that one. So as far as the shooting strategy and things like that, that would be something I would prefer him to answer. But I will say that Chuck was probably faced with the biggest challenge of the 4 directors or 5 directors, because he had a lot to pull off. He had to pull off a major, completely unexpected twist that literally comes out of nowhere, but yet there's a tease, of it at some point. He also had to weed down a lot of things because it was a very involved. The character of Colt in the script was a little more fleshed out, and Chuck, as wise and experienced as he was, realized there's going to be some time issues with the final product, and so he went ahead and made some sacrifices. And he ran it by me as the writer, and of course, I trusted Chuck. I mean, I'm of the opinion if you hire somebody or work with somebody and you put them in a certain capacity, you have to trust their instincts, and when you give them something, it's theirs. So right. Even though I wrote it, Chuck was the director that was placed to do it. So while he gave me the respect of asking me, not really, I don't know if you could call it so much permission as like what my opinion was. Basically it was this is your thing, and he did. He made it his thing, and he pulled off the most important parts of that story. It was a great process. But one thing I do want to say on that about Scott's performance, because I think it needs to be commended, not just because of his performance, but because Scott had like 197,000 degree temperature.
Yeah, that's one thing. Nobody can tell it watching the film, but between every take, Chuck would call cut, and Scott would just put his head down and hold his face.
And quarantine himself.
You're right, because he was like about to die. I was sitting there waiting to call 911 if we needed to. He was so sick, it was ridiculous. But that scene that you were talking about with Richard Donner and Colt on the couch watching the video is one of my favorites in the movie, and it's largely because of, like you said, the facial expressions and how real it was, and Scott just totally tapped that maniacal. He makes me laugh so much just in his craziness. It was great.
Special effects I want to bring up, I thought was very amazing. I mean, this real part with Jim O'Rear. I mean, you seen the shot and it pulled away and you seen blood splattered, but you got the point, you know, and it wasn't overdone. It was just done nice. And that's what I'm saying. It flows. Every film flows. There isn't the characters of the one with Reggie and Rat-a-tat. Where do those characters come from?
Yeah.
No, that's
I mean, as far as the makeup and how you made that, was that in your head, or is that just on the spot? This looks cool.
I don't know. That's we talked about that for a while, and I basically, since I directed that segment, Daniel gave me a good bit of leeway with stuff as far as what I was seeing in my head, and I basically sat down with
Barry Perkins.
Barry. I sat down with Barry and talked about what I wanted the primary makeup to be and how I wanted them to look, and then I called up our hairstylist, hair and makeup stylist Tabitha, and talked to her about how I wanted the hair and all that, and it was fairly specific with some things while giving each of them some leeway to play with it and show me what they could do, and it came out really, really well, and it really couldn't have asked for much better. I mean, I think all three of the characters you're talking about look really great. Now, the biggest problem with them was the fact that I can't draw, and so when I thought up what I wanted them to be wearing, and I talked to Jeremy Vandiver about that, he said,
costume designer.
Yeah, he said, send me a sketch. I told him I can't draw, and he says, do it anyway. So I drew it, I took a picture of it, and I sent it to him. He just sent back a big LOL and said, all right, I'll handle it.
If we can, I mean, just if you don't mind, since this is not something that often gets brought up in interviews, can we have a second to talk about Jeremy Vandiver and Tabitha?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Jeremy Vandiver, he was a costume designer. The guy is absolutely fantastic. He made the dress for Alice. He made our 1800 piece look like it was 1800s.
I love that. That's fucking amazing.
Yeah, I mean he's absolutely fantastic. He's a brilliant guy. Did a hell of a job, and really probably, well, I can't say he's the only, he's not the rock star. We had a lot of rock stars, but Jeremy certainly. He was a crew unto himself. We didn't have, wardrobe departments. We had Jeremy Vandiver. Same thing with Tabitha Davis. Tabitha, I almost don't want to tell this story because it almost talks about how indie we are.
I know. I was just thinking about that. It's like it's a cool story, but I don't know if I want to tell it. But
she was basically, a last sort of we couldn't find anybody.
Yeah, saying she was sort of last minute is an extreme understatement. I literally, the day before we went to set on Chuck's segment about the neighbor, we had not only the week before lost the hair and makeup person we were going to have, but could not find one. And so the day before, I was reaching for straws, and I called a local cosmetology school, and I said, hey, who's your best person? Would they want to do hair and makeup for a movie? And the lady that was the director of the department said, sure. And hold on a second, let me talk to them. They're right over here. And it was Tabitha. She put me on the phone with her, and we talked, and she came down to do the job and totally blew us away. And we have been attached to her ever since and don't want to make anything without her.
I'm going to ask you, what was her response when you told her on the phone?
Oh, she was excited. She was floored that she was going to be getting to do hair and makeup for a movie because that's something she had been wanting to do. And I think because of that, we really lucked out with her because she was so gung-ho to do it. She went and studied the differences in doing film makeup versus everyday kind of stuff.
Overnight.
Yeah, overnight. And then at everything that we've done with her, she's just gotten better and better and better.
And that's the thing, she researches. And the reason I wanted to bring her up is when you brought up the hair thing, is like the look of Sirens is one of the perfect things. Like Jeremy basically just threw some ideas, and
yeah, she
sent me the picture for some reason, and I had to send it to Jeremy, and Jeremy's like, well, tell her, I don't know why we were having a third-person conversation, but, tell her this is awesome, and she honestly, she has a great imagination, but she's very professional, and she can translate anything. I mean, for someone who just started, this was their first project, I could not be more pleased with someone, because it was like, it took us a little while to get to where we're, average at what we do.
Right. Yeah.
And she's like fantastic on day one. So
that's a great story for anybody out there who is in school for makeup to hear this story and say, hey, you know what? I might have a chance. That's a great story.
Yeah, it was just total random happenstance that we wound up with her, and we're so lucky that we did.
How many viewers has actually reviewed this so far?
That have been posted, I think we've got 5 or 6 right now that have been posted. I think we've got...
Really? I must have missed one.
Well, counting Marcus's.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
Well, Marcus gave us a blur. Marcus Koch, I'm sure you're familiar with him, a special effects genius, director of some pretty cool cult stuff. Marcus gave us a blurb. He had a chance to watch it, and he gave me a blurb. But so I guess we got 5 or 6 that are up, and then there's 4 or 5 on the way, and we've submitted to a couple other places where people haven't come back to us yet. And so far, knock on wood, it will come. Somebody's going to trash this film. It's just going to happen. But so far, nobody has.
We're waiting on it. It hadn't happened yet.
So now, what was the comments? I mean, when they reviewed it, I haven't seen any reviews, but what is their common favorite part of the movie? Did it say which one or no? Or is it the whole film they said it's good?
You're the only one to pin all the filmmakers against each other and actually pick a favorite, Scott.
But at least it's mine that you picked, so I'm okay.
Hey, Daniel Emery Taylor, get that bitch. No, I know Daniel Emery Taylor from his... I think I was a producer on The Hospital. And let's talk about The Hospital a minute. When Daniel Emery Taylor and Jim O'Rear went together to make this film, and there's a scene in the movie that I know a lot of these fake-ass fucking fly-by-night wannabe reviewers just killed them on. G. Larry Butler's head flies off, and you can tell that it was computer-generated, okay? I mean, they didn't have the money for the special effects. Like, I remember doing a review, and I just simply said, it is what it is. If you ain't got a budget, you do the best you can to get it through, and that's the end of it. If you don't like it, fuck you. You know what I mean? Get the hell over it. It's not easy to make a film, and that's how me and him got to know each other, is because of the review, and he says, thank you, Scott, you get what we were trying to do. And of course, I understand. I mean, a lot of people say, well, it's because you're in movies, you might understand it better. No, well, it was before that as well. Because when you start watching films as a reviewer from one to another, you start learning yourself on different style cameras or budgets, you know what I mean? Or this is just something I want to do, or this is something that I want to make a career out of. You can tell. It's all on passion, talent, and drive. If you got the drive, you're going to get it. If you find a cast that has drive, you're going to get it. That's all it is. It's chemistry and drive and the love of making film. And this film proves to me that everyone that's involved, including you guys and all the directors, I mean, it wasn't the first for a lot of them, obviously, but they have the drive to make something out of nothing, to make it something, make it believable, and make it fun and entertaining. And that's what you guys did. And I love this film for that simple fact, is it's just brilliant. I love the stories, although the third one was my favorite. But it has nothing to do with the other ones. They're all great. I just like the Rat-a-tat character in Reggie. It's something I haven't seen in all my years of reviewing movies. I've never seen that story in a film before. I mean, I've seen, not Alice Parsons, but I've seen other films just like that. I mean, I've seen cannibal movies. I've seen zombies. I'm not saying zombie in here, but I'm just saying in general that I've seen all bunch of films. But sometimes I'll watch one that I haven't seen a lot of or not at all, and I'm connected to it. And that's one of the reasons why I like the film. You know, that's just me. It's my choice. And, you know, you said something to me, Daniel, which I'll openly say in a message of what you said to me. And you said, yes, Scott, I went through your reviews back way back, and how'd you say that? I'm overwhelmed or shocked by the high grade that you gave this film when you don't give out 9.5s or 9s.
Yeah,
now,
I mean, by looking at your backlog, of what you've given some films that I actually have a tremendous amount of respect for, some that I didn't, but some I had a tremendous amount of respect for, that were bigger budgets, more name cast, more established directors, certainly more established writers, and big studios. And I'm looking at what you're giving those films, and it's like, wow, he doesn't give out the numbers and then registers back, he gave us a 9. But I'm going to tell you what my thing about that real quick, if you indulge me. And I'm sorry, I'm long-winded, but
well, so am I. It's fine.
Roger Ebert is probably the only person in major criticism that I think was ever really honest. Ebert was a guy who actually reviewed films based on what they actually meant to do, based on he kept it fair. You may not have agreed with what he said. You may have loved a film he hated. You may have hated a film he loved, but he always kept it even. That's the reason why of all these wannabe Roger Eberts, he's the only critic to ever win a Pulitzer Prize, because he actually did say, okay, this movie wasn't wasn't Bergman, but it was trying to be Raimi, and it pulled it off. That's how critics should look at things. And while, yes, I can see, I can watch some films that are so poorly done, regardless of their budget, that their budget plus the way they've done them just ruins them. But you do have to keep budgets in mind. You do have to keep in mind what people are working with. And when an independent film can take a little and make something out of it, I think that that's a big deal, and I think those things should be commended. I'm not saying they should be, given 9s. I'm saying that, I do think that it's fair to look at a film like, this is what it was, and did it pull it off? If it did, how well did it pull it off? Instead of, well, they didn't have, $7 million, and that's still indie at $7 million, but they didn't have $7 million. They had, they didn't have a name actor, so I didn't like the movie. Well, that's shit. If that's the way you're going to review something, go fuck yourself.
If you have a quote name, you can get a distro deal quicker. Stupid. Yeah. There are some legends out there that are still acting, like Tony Todd and Danny Glover and Michael Berryman and all the ones that I've hung out with. I'm just mentioning names up top. Dee Wallace. But you know what? There are some fucking amazing films with up-and-coming stars.
Yeah, there you go. Just get good, talented cast, and they're going to go somewhere eventually, and then that's going to help.
But you know what? You have a guy, Jim O'Rear. Yeah, I'm sure you had some O'Rearisms going on in there, I'm sure, right? You did, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. Jim... No. Jim's a great guy. I mean, he's a great guy to work with because he's definitely got a little bit of he's a character. He's definitely that. And I will say, not to sidestep, I meant to say this earlier. I've seen a lot of Jim O'Rear's work, and I'm not saying this because it was not my film, but part of my film. But it, I do think that was Jim's best performance that I've seen, and you know that may be somewhat to do with the attachment, but you know Jim is a lot more talented than I think he even realizes. Sometimes I think he's just like, I'm just an actor, I'm just here to work, but he
was great in that. I really
Austin, a fucking perverted pig ass bitch. That's
and he nailed
great. Oh, he nailed it all right. Yeah. I want to reach in there and slap that pig, but
That's right.
I mean,
he may or may not have been kind of playing himself a little bit, not the rapist part. But.
Well, he's a great guy, and he's not afraid to say how he feels on Facebook either. No. You know, and is there anything else that you want to say to the audience about the film, or even where can they go see it, or is it available anywhere yet?
It's not yet.
Not yet. We've got festivals to wait on, and we've got. I'm sure we're going to have our own little screening at some point, and then of course talks with distribution. But we'll say that if there is anybody out there, if I may be so pretentious, bold, whatever, anybody out there that has been looking for something that is different and unique, and also in this world of diversity, where diversity is the new trend, we did not intentionally make this a diverse film. It happened that way. Yeah. It is a very diverse film in a lot of different ways. There is a message out there that is very much not something that we expected it would be. Well, I didn't expect it to be till I finished writing it. This is a film that will play to all of those tastes. I think this is a film that will surprise a lot of people, even people who are not horror fans. I think that this has got something to a degree for everybody. It also has something that's probably going to piss everybody off, but there might be something in there that's going to piss your average person off. But
I think there's probably, if you're talking 4-quadrant film here, to be cliche about it, there's probably a way that will piss off at least one person in each of the 4 quadrants. So,
yes.
Yeah, there you go.
I was going to say, for any fool out there who doesn't want to take this film on for their festival, is your buffoons. Enough said. Great job by both of you. And thanks again for the link to review for my podcast.
Well, thanks for having me.
Thank you, Scott. Thanks for having me.
All right. You take care.
You too, man.
See ya.
All right, see ya.